hey, if you don't believe what General says, well, just get in an argument with him and we'll find out. All right, so here we are, reaching into the victory vault once again. We've already talked to Tanner from Tennessee and JM from Auburn just in the last few minutes here. It might not have been on the segment that you was listening to, but we try to keep this in 10-minute segments so people can listen to it on their way to work or something, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of time getting your news from General Beauregard, because he'll educate you in 10-minute spurts very easily. But we're getting to the social media arguments here. Now, I told you we had one picked out. This was a doozy from Florida, I believe it was. And those Florida people and the Tennessee people, the Auburn people can get crazy. They really can. But this one, the Florida people, just you cannot ever end the argument, no matter what. They cannot be told things. And so we just keep rolling along here, reaching into the vault. We've got one fishing it out, trying to make sure. Here it was right here. We had to stop and pay some bills there. But we were going to reach into the vault. And in this case, it's Lewis, not the one I thought. But Lewis here, see, the dogs are starting to bark every time I mention this guy. Lewis says, first of all, I was actually commenting to him. I said, I'm an outsider looking in, saw a lot of fan exuberance in the Auburn Nation in my social media. And I was talking to Lewis. Personally dealt with many Auburn fans who were exceptionally rude on many social media posts, and I had no choice to see that. But since Auburn fans are in shock and can't be found, allow me to tell you what you will not hear all week. Auburn is a 7-5 team, rebuilding with a good coach for a change. But Bo Nix is fool's gold. Every decent defense tells you that. This game could have been won with a game-managing quarterback to help the running game. That's my comment, and he goes, you were right about almost every fan base but Auburn. Bo Nix is the top 10 in school, is in the top 10 in school history, and still has 2 years, but likely plays just one. I think the other teams see the O-line weakness and sends blitzes accordingly. Having to throw early causes trouble elsewhere. We haven't been able to run but a couple of games all year and are very bad against good defenses. So that's a reasonable Auburn fan right there, but those are the exceptions. And I did want to get one of those reasonable ones in, but he admitted the problem. But he still was somewhat delusional, as you could tell. But all the fan bases so far, they have their, I'm sure we have Georgia fans who are crazy, but we're trying to reach out and show the crazy arguments. And I've got a Florida argument that I dropped on the floor and the dog scared me. I was going to read that one. And I flipped to the one from the Auburn player, the Auburn commenter, who was actually reasonable. They actually had one. And so now we're going to get that Florida comment. Yeah, y'all just stick around for just a minute as I'm reaching back into the vault, and I've got that Florida argument lined up. I have an aversion to someone who says something egregious that isn't true. I have to point it out. It's just a natural flaw in character, I suppose. But when a Florida person says something a certain way, I just feel compelled to straighten them out of human decency, that he not flounder in such ignorance if need be or could be prevented. And so it is in that vein that the general intervenes and makes comments at all. Now, it was Dave from Florida, as promised. That's the one, Dave from Florida. Dave from Florida, let's find his little letter here. General Beauregard, back with you. We're dealing with the victory vault. Now, I do not encourage to spend undue time on social media, as the general perhaps has. the missus is always pointing out that I do spend an awful lot of time watching various various teams' version of podcast or videos, mainly video channels on YouTube. A lot of them. Every fan base has some pretty good channels, and I watch a lot of them, and I make comments, and we get into battles, Facebook battles. But I have an aversion to someone who says something egregious that isn't true. I have to point it out. It's just a natural flaw in character, I suppose. But when a Florida person says something a certain way, I just feel compelled to straighten them out of human decency, that he not flounder in such ignorance if need be or could be prevented. And so it is in that vein that the general intervenes and makes comments at all. Now, it was Dave from Florida, as promised. That's the one, Dave from Florida. Dave from Florida, when I find his little letter here. Dave from Florida. Man, so this is a long argument, and I'm trying to just find the best part to start with. And Dave from Florida was telling us, says, General, what would be a bad situation if Mullen got fired or resigned and joined UGA as a staff offensive coordinator? So the Florida man's thinking that Mullen's going to get fired and Georgia's going to hire him. That's a pretty delusional comment, and I simply had to get involved in that one. And the general argument was back and forth all over. And SM from Georgia said that Tonkin was better than Mullen. Georgia doesn't need him, and Mullen would be perfect offensive coordinator for the Texas Longhorns. So see, the Georgia fans are always trying to help other programs out with good advice there. Nothing wrong with that from SV. Says Mullen is stubborn. As far as an offensive play caller, almost no one is better than Mullen. This is to Dan from Florida. Mullen doesn't want to be in college football. He hates recruiting, and that's why he's hit the portal as much as he has. He lost interest last year, and it shows. He isn't an overall good coach, maybe for a small school, but not an elite school. Now, this is the Florida fan, the delusional Florida fan that has changed his mind, I'm certain, because 90% of the Florida fans said something totally different about Dan Mullen when it was 10-2 and winning the Sugar Bowls. Now Dan addresses the general in person and says, General, the thing is, Mullen doesn't want to recruit. Droid. I don't know what he meant by that. Then Dan says he doesn't want to shop for his players. He wants the easy way out. Recruiting takes a lot of time and energy, and it's a constant 24/7 job. Dan from Florida says that Mullen isn't interested in it, and he shows that. Dan from Florida goes on to say a lot of this staff should have been replaced, defensive coordinator to start with, line coaches after that. He doesn't care, and he shouldn't be here, period. We need a coach that is energized and wants to win and recruit. Because Florida's finally figured that out. But I'm just confused as to what their message is, because the earlier Florida comments were telling me that they had an offense 3-4 weeks ago, and they were talking like the Tennessee people are right now. And so I get confused, and so I try to be fair when these fan bases talk about things. But was Dan or Brian from Florida wrong? They're finally admitting what's wrong with the program. That's not a good thing. Not really, because if Florida ever gets things fixed, they got no excuses. But Georgia spent 20 years figuring that out, and Tennessee still the same. This goes on in the SEC, and it's a whole lot of fun. But stick with us here on the Victory Vault, where the General pulls out a favorite argument of the moment. I got thousands and upon thousands of arguments in my Victory Vault, and I'll pull them out and share them, as long as the missus ain't snooping around and making me turn off that tape recorder there. This is Joe Beauregard. I'm going to pause and make a little money. I'll be back in a minute.